Well, hello, Konnichiwa, good morning to you all. So, you already know what is it. So, this is my review for Bleach chapter 538 called Standing on the Edge. And, well, this chapter is not as amazing as the last one war. However, this is mainly a transition chapter between the flashback and the continuation of the story. And we also have some quite interesting story progression in this chapter. So basically, this chapter starts where the last one ended, with Ishigo leaving the Kurosaki clinic, and after talking with Ikumi, and Ikumi gives him back his substitute Shinigami badge. Uh, it starts with Ishin calling to Ishigo and asking where he plans to go. Does he plans to return to the royal palace, and how will he be doing it? However, there is also a strange situation because we see on a small panel when Ishin was talking with Ishigo, Ikumi was there. So, did she hear what Ishin told to Ishigo? Because shortly after this, we have that girl, Mara, the aide of Nimaya, that pops up off nowhere and kind of grabs Ishigo and transports him again to the palace of Nimaya. So, did Ikumi see this? Still the same problem like in the last chapter. Those Ikumi have spiritual awareness or not? He did she see Ishigo leave? Did she hear Ishin? What is going on with Ikumi? But for now that's not so important, but it's a plot all that Google needs to address eventually. So we have Ishigo returns to the palace of Nimaya, and he is again in that pit where he and Renji fought the Azaushi. And Nimaya comes and he says that, well, let's start again. And apparently the situation was that Nimaya decided to send Ishigo back to the human world for one night and to see that something changed on him. And apparently it's because when Nimai gives the, let's say, order to the Azaushi appear, when the Azaushi appear, all the Azaushi kneel before Ishigo, so Ishigo is the king in a way. And then Ishigo simply look a little around and choose one Azaushi that then it turns into, I guess it's the Olo, or in the least this Azaushi as an Olo mask. And then in Nimaya saw his from his expression quite pleased, and he says that he will reforge Zangetsu personally. So this kind of is interesting, and it's the point that Ishigo already regained his spirit, already knowing his origins, knowing the background of his own powers and so on. But I was kinda, in a way, disappointed because I do wanted to see Ishigo get some hold to some Quincy powers, something like that. But now I'm quite curious to see how will the reforged Zangetsu appear. Uh, will it be like before it was broken? Um, the design of the Shikai form will change. I'm quite curious to see what changes or what will change in Zengetsu. Then we continue the story and we go. Uh, we left the royal palace and we go to Soul Society, and then we see a group of Shinigami training, and they are being taught by a guy with a mustache, and apparently this guy is kind of a master swordsman, it appears. And then they are kind of they are sorry for that. They are kind of uh, members of the 10 squad, and they are training, and they are kind of talking between them what will happen now, what will happen to the squad now that the captain has lost his Bankai. And when they are in this talk, Itsugaya came and he takes all by surprise, and he asks this guy with the mustache guy to train in the swordsman way because he needs to return to the basic steps now that he has lose his Bankai ability, and he is a little resentful because he did train after Aizen, he did train hard to strengthen his own Bankai and to get the perfect Bankai or the perfect form of a Bankai, and he's kinda thinking to himself, Itsugaya, that if he did lose the Bankai, there is no need to mourn it because what is stolen it will not return. So he needs to look forward and he needs to look for the future. Well, eventually, will this lead to Itsugaya learning? I don't know if it's possible or not to learn other Bankai, but apparently it's hinted that maybe that's possible. Um, it's quite interesting. Then we go again to Mido, I guess, and we see Shuhei and Muguruma. And Muguruma basically is telling to Shuhei that he needs to use his Bankai because on the next battle he does not know if Muguruma Bankai will be stolen also, and they need other users to have Bankai, or they need to have other Shinigami with the Bankai ability. And Shuei is in shock, and then we have a situation, and it's interesting because we see Mashiro appearing, and she's wearing a shikanshu, and apparently Muguruma basically did the same that Kyoraku did on the first squad. Kyoraku did say that he will now have two lieutenants. The old guy that was the third seat under Yamamoto and Nanao. They are both his lieutenants. And Muguruma, apparently, from what I understand of this chapter, also has two lieutenants. Izagi continues to be lieutenant, and Mashiro apparently, like Kensei was reinstated, Mashiro was also reinstated as vice captain of Squad 9. So this kind of solves the situation that we have about what did happen to the other visors. And Mashiro, I remember that when we see a small situation about the visors, we see Yori and Lisa walking on the real wall in a few chapters back, and a kind of a dimensional portal opened, and they are talking about Ashi and Lev, and I remember that they saying that Ashi was at a bathhouse or something like that because the heat is killing him, and that Love was in a manga store or something like that. But they never referred Mashiro, so we never knew what happened to Mashiro. Now we have the confirmation that Mashiro At the same time, Kensei was reinstated, Mashiro was also reinstated as lieutenant or vice captain of Squad 9. And then he kinda orders Mashiro to enter in his hollow form and to fight against Izagi uh, for force to force him to use his Bankai and to train him. Uh, and Kensei is very harsh and he says he is not like Tozen, he is not kind as Tozen. And Izagi is kind of bummed by that phrase that Kensei says because he says that Kensei does not have the right to badmouth or talk illy of Tozen. And then we go to other place in Soul Society and we see Iba kinda punching rocks, I guess, to become stronger. And we see Komamura inside a cave, or a huge cave. And apparently he goes talk with and I'm seeing this image again. I think it's a very big dog. Yeah, it's a very big dog. Um, and this kind of, I guess, this guy, either it's the parent, the father or the grandfather of Komamura, or it was the master of Komamura. And this guy is kinda displeased to see Komamura again, and that's the end of the chapter. Uh, so, well, like I say, we see on this chapter, and that was also one of my predictions for this week chapter, is that probably Kubo will show us what was going on Soul Society. I was kind of expecting to see Urahara or uh, that she will be talking with Ryuk, and well, but eventually this is not impossible to happen in the future. Well, but for now I'm quite pleased with this chapter. It was not one of the greatest chapters so far, but I kinda understand because we have a series of our fantastic chapters coming to us on the last few weeks. So this is kind of a transition chapter, like I say on the beginning of my review. So, and we also have one, we have the explanation what happened to Mashiro after the fight with Aizen, and Mashiro, it's revealing, is reinstated as lieutenant of Squad 9. So Squad 9 at this moment possessed two lieutenants, Mashiro and Izagi. Then we have story progression and character evolution, and that's quite interesting because we have character evolution on the part of Izagi Shuhei, and we learn that he actually in this meantime learned Bankai, but apparently his Bankai is quite needs training. So basically, Mashiro and Kensei will now be training Izagi on the use and mastering of his Bankai, and it's quite good, and also brings story progression and character development. Also, Itsugaya, it's interesting they how Kubo show us Itsugaya, and Itsugaya did not lose Earth, and he did not lose his fighting spirit, and he simply decided, well, I did lose my Bankai. Okay, that's bad, but I will not give up. So I will return to basic training, and I'm guessing he will try to relearn or learn another form of Bankai through training eventually. And the same could be said about Komamura. Apparently, he goes talk with this huge dog that I don't know if it's a member of Komamura family or if it's simply his master. And I guess the objective it's the same as Itsugaya. It will be to recover or to restore or to unlock another form of Bankai, I guess. So this is quite interesting on the parts of Soul Society. Then, but for me, the most interesting part was on the first pages when Nimaya get Ishigo again to the royal palace, and apparently the trip of Ishigo will continue, and after Nimaya he will go to the other royal palaces, apparently, and eventually he will meet the Spirit King, I guess. So, and now he will have a reforged Zangetsu, and like I say, I'm quite curious to see how Zangetsu will look after this. And finally, the epic moment when the Azaushi basically kneeled before Ishigo, it's like the Azaushi recognized Ishigo as their king, as a superior being. Yes, Renji did win over the Azaushi, and he fight his way to have a reforged Sabimaru, but La Ishigo will be different because the Azaushi decided not to fight. They simply submit. So this is quite interesting because the legacy, the blood legacy, the blood heritage that Ishigo has basically is of one of a noble, either in Soul Society, either in the Quincy world. So, for all intents and purposes, Ishigo is like a prince in a way. So, this is interesting, and it's very interesting to see the draws of Kubo on the face of Ishigo. His determination continues to be solid rock, um, and he is at peace with himself and with his legacy and his power, and this is quite interesting. So I cannot wait for next week chapter. This chapter was good, was not as amazing as the last ones were, but it's quite good. And basically is a transition chapter between moments in the story. So this is my review for Bleach 538. Hope you enjoy. Stay well, and if you have your own ideas, comments, thoughts, and so on, please put them on the comments below. So stay well and peace. See you soon.